Hello, I'm Gary Briggs of Bloodline Bow Fishing, and this video is going to be Viugreum 50-watt warm white LED test number 2. A fellow by the name of Jeff Morlock sent me this light to do a video on. I was very skeptical. Turns out it's awesome. It's brighter than 150 watt HPS. It tested phenomenally. So good, in fact, that I thought it was prudent to buy a second one and make sure that the results are the same. So I purchased a second one. It's still sealed, just so there's no shenanigans. I'm going to open it right here in front of you on the camera, and we will retest both lights. So here we go. Perfectly sealed in the packaging. And number 2, we will write number 2 on. And number 1, we will write number 1 on. So once darkness is upon us, I will set up the jig and the lux meter, and we will see if the number 2 light is as good as the number 1 light. So something I started doing a while back is running the lights for several hours. I find that if I take an initial reading when I first plug it in, let it run for a few hours to come back, that the light breaks in and is usually brighter after it's ran for a while. So I wired up plugs and left both number 1 and number 2 run for a couple of hours. And since I originally tested number 1, I left a plug on this dude and used it as a work light whenever it was dark, if I had to work on my truck or something. So it probably has 90 more minutes of runtime than number 2 does. So on the jig we have Viugreum 50 watt number 1. We're going to do a retest, and I expect it to test better than it tested originally. So you'll notice that nice orangish color, 2800 Kelvin. So let me let it warm up for 5 minutes and I will take a reading. So unfortunately, primary lux meter looks like it might be having some battery issues and it's jumping around. So we're going to go to secondary lux meter for this test. And it is registering 1230-ish lux, which is on par with the previous test. We'll call it 1230 straight up since it's bouncing around. Okay, here we have Viugreum number 2 wired up on the jig, ready to rock and roll. Let's fire her up. They do give off a nice color. I mean, it is a pleasant bow fishing orangish yellow, so I really like the color of this light. Let me let it warm up for a minute. We'll take a reading. Okay, lux meter number 1 is on the fritz, so we are using lux meter number 2 for this test. And Viugreum number 2 is pulling 1430 lux. 1430 lux. That's actually an improvement over Viugreum number 1. So the voltage we are working with for Viugreum test number 2 is going to be 120.07, 120.07. Viugreum number 2 is pulling 0.45 amps. 120.7 times 0.45 equals 54.31 watts. Clear. 1430 lux divided by 54.31 watts equals 26.33. So the test has shown that the first light was not a fluke. In fact, the second light performed slightly better efficiency, slightly brighter overall. I'd say these lights are worth the money. Okay guys, we have the updated board and my badass G-Rex. So, Viugreum number 2 tested a little brighter, 1430 lux, compared to 1233 of number 1, and more efficient, 26.33. You'll also notice that Viugreum number 2 pulled a few more watts, which is why it was brighter. Okay guys, what did we learn from the second test? 2 things stand out to me. First off, test number 1 was not a fluke. In fact, light number 2 was brighter and more efficient than light number 1. But it did pull 54 watts as opposed to 50 watts of the first light, which leads me to point number 2. They are inconsistent. Not surprising with an inexpensive light from China. After I made the first video, about a half a dozen guys reached out to me. They had purchased the lights, they're running the lights, they're happy with the lights, which is encouraging, but only time will tell if this light will be durable. But this might be about the best budget bow fishing light a guy can get. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me on Facebook Messenger. Let's go over to the Bloodline Bow Fishing Facebook page, join up there, Let's join the BA that protect our rights as bow fishermen. And as always, please wear your personal flotation devices when you're on that water, guys. Thank you. Thanks for watching.